Hello and welcome to my channel, Distinctively Handcrafted. My name is Priscilla and I would like to thank all my new subscribers for coming to check me out and all my returning subscribers for spending some time with me. Alright everyone, so today I'm super excited to share with you all a tutorial for my slip shape socks. This pattern is super easy, very quick. If you had enough time, you could definitely make a pair in a day, but certainly a pair in a weekend for sure. And they are really simple stitches, and we just do some different techniques to give us the shaping that we have, but it's very easy. I would even say a beginner crocheter could definitely, I would say advanced beginner, because we do have like some front post, back post stitches and things like that, but it's very easy. Definitely I show you how to do the pattern, but you do need to know the stitches that I am using, which I'm using a single crochet, slip stitches, and post stitches. So as long as you know how to do those stitches, you can definitely do this pattern. All right, and they are very, like I said, they're very quick and easy, so they would be great for gifts as well. And definitely make yourself a bunch of pairs for sure. All right, everyone. So some of the materials we'll be using are I'm using this Patton's Classic Wools DK Superwash yarn. It is pretty soft and squishy, and that's what I like about this kind of yarn. But you can definitely use an acrylic yarn, or maybe a acrylic blend with like some nylon or something. As long as it feels comfortable and you think it will make a nice sock, that should work. Like I said, it is a number 3. And let me see how many yards it was in here. This is a 50-gram skein of yarn, and it is 125 yards, which is 114 meters. I did use the majority of this. I just had a little bit left, and I wasn't able to go around one more round of the post stitches, so I just ended it off. And so I did use the whole skein for one sock. So you're definitely going to need at least 2 of these if you're thinking about making the sock longer, or if you have a larger foot, then you may need more yarn. So definitely have plenty on hand for this project. All right, so the next thing we're going to need is 3 different size hooks. I'm going to be using a 4mm, a 5mm, and a 6mm hook. Okay, you're also going to need some locking stitch markers, and I prefer to use a contrasting piece of yarn to let me know where the beginning of my round is, and that way I won't get mixed up with these kind of stitch markers. So I would recommend using just a scrap piece of different colored yarn. Also, a tape measure is definitely handy. If you're not if you're making these for yourself, you can definitely try them on as you go, and that's really all you need to know for how many rows and everything like that. Just try it on. If it's long enough, then you're done. If it's not long enough, then you keep going. All right, so very simple pattern and very quick. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started working up the sock. The first thing we're going to be working on is the toe of the sock. So for that, you will need your 5mm hook, and you can save the other 2 for a little bit later. All right, let me grab my yarn. Okay, so super easy. The first thing you're going to do is just make your slip knot, and then you're going to go ahead and chain up 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then you're going to flip your chain over so that you see the back bumps here. You're going to flip that over, and then you're going to work into the second chain from the hook. So here's the first chain, here's the second chain. So just work into that back bump, and you're going to make a single crochet. All right, and then just make a single crochet in the last 4 as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so right into that back bump, and that's going to be important because we are going to work on the other side of these stitches as well. And if you're not working through the back bump, then it's going to be might be a little bit harder to see the stitches is all. It's just, this is an easier way to find your stitches and a cleaner look, in my opinion. All right, so now that we have made it to the end, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches. What we're going to do now is we're going to work an additional 2 more stitches in this last stitch. All right, so here's 1, and what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and mark that stitch with one of your locking stitch markers. And this is important so that, because this is where we're going to be making our increases in that particular stitch. So go ahead and mark that stitch. Then we're going to make 1 more in that same stitch. And now we have turned the corner and we're ready to work on the bottom. So see, if you can see, these look like the tops of the stitches, and that is exactly what we want because that makes it easier to work into. All right, so if you can see where that little knot is at here, that is where we just put those 3 stitches. So we're not going to work into that anymore. We're going to work into this very next one here. All right, so there's that one. Then we're going to work into a single crochet into the next stitch, a single crochet into the next stitch, and now you should have 1 stitch left right here, and we're going to put 2 stitches in there. So you're going to put the first stitch, and then in the second stitch you're going to put your second locking stitch marker. All right, so now we're going to put our second locking stitch marker there. Okay, now we should have 12 stitches. So this will be our first stitch here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so this stitch marker is in the 6th stitch and this one is in the 12th stitch. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take our contrasting piece of yarn and just kind of lay it over the work and in between the last stitch and the first stitch. And then when you make your first stitch of the round, it'll kind of lock in place. So that marks our end of the round, or where the first stitch starts here. So however you want to look at that. Okay. And so what we're going to do now is just we're going to work a single crochet into each stitch around. But when you come to the stitches that have the markers in them, you're going to put 3 stitches in those. All right. So we're just single crocheting. And then we get to our marked stitch. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put 3 stitches in here total, but I'm going to do 2 stitches. And then I'm going to, in the second stitch, I'm going to move my stitch marker up, because you always want to work into that middle stitch, if that makes sense, out of the 3 stitches that are there. So we're going to put 1 more in that same stitch. All right, and that's one of our increases. And now we're going to continue around to our next stitch marker. Okay, so we've made it to our second stitch marker. So I'm going to put 2. I'm going to pause on that second stitch, move my stitch marker up, and then I'm going to put my third stitch in that same space. Okay, that same stitch. There we go. And now that brings us back to the beginning of the round. Okay, so you're going to complete that same round until you get the number of stitches you needed for your size. So I am recommending for a small size sock or foot, that would probably be about 8 inches circumference around the widest part of your foot, like right under your toe area. If that is around 8 inches for you, you're going to want to do 28 stitches. Once you've made it around, then you should have a total of 28 stitches. Once you complete the increases, of course, you have to keep increasing until you get to 28 stitches. But you want to make sure you have ended in the right place, if that makes sense. All right. So you're going to just keep working in the round like we just did that first round, and then increase, making sure you increase and then move your markers up so that you are increasing in that same stitch each time. Okay. And once you get to the number of stitches you need for your size, then you will come back to the video to see what to do next. All right. So like I was saying, the small size will be 28 stitches. The medium size, which is a 9-inch circumference, would be 32 stitches, and a large, which would be a 10-inch circumference around your foot, should have a total of 36 stitches. So hopefully that makes sense. So go ahead and complete those rounds until you get the number of stitches you need for your size, and then meet me back at the video. Of course, you can definitely, like, once you get to the increased number you think you need, you can just like kind of like lay it over your foot, or if there's like enough room to tuck your foot inside to make sure it's going to you know, cover the width of your foot. All right, that's all we're doing here, is trying to make the sock wide enough for our foot. Now you do want to consider that crochet stitches don't stretch quite as much, so you do want to get it closer to your size. Normally you will want the sock to be like slightly smaller than your foot, but I noticed with like crochet stitches, they don't necessarily stretch as much, so you do want to get it to as close to your size foot as possible. That way it won't feel too tight, or it just feel uncomfortable on your foot. All right, so yes, just continue to single crochet in each stitch around. Make sure you're putting 3 stitches in the marked stitch to do your increases, and then moving the marked stitch up to that middle stitch. All right, so you single crochet one, you single crochet the second one, you put your stitch marker there, and then you put that 3rd stitch in that same stitch, if that makes sense. All right, so just keep working on that until you get the number of stitches you need for your size, and then I will meet you right back when I have mine done. I also just want to share with you guys that when you are using a piece of string as a stitch marker, all you do when you get to the end of the round is you just take the string and just flip it back and make sure that it goes in between the stitches, so that when you crochet over into the next round, that it kind of locks the string in place. And as you can see, it'll just keep marking that same spot each time. All right, so I just wanted to go ahead and share that little tip with you guys. All right, everyone, so I made it all the way back around. I have my stitches for my size. I'm working on the medium size. And what we're going to do now is, this is just the toe of the sock, just to get the width that we need. And it probably doesn't fit over your toe yet, but what we're going to do is we're just going to continue working in the round, and not doing any more increasing. And so what's going to happen is we're going to work right from the toe right into the foot of the sock. Okay, so all we're going to do now is to complete the rest of the toe as well as the foot of the sock. Go ahead and continue working in rounds, just putting 1 single crochet in each stitch around until I get to I'm just doing this for the foot of the sock. So just from the toe to right where your foot begins to curve, you want to do that about 1 inch before. So you know how your foot starts to curve up into your leg. So maybe about 1 inch before that starts to happen is where you will stop working your foot. So you will have to try that on to see how long you need that to be for your size. It looks like I did 6 inches for mine from starting from the toe, and I am a size 10 US women's size shoe. So if that gives you an idea. So if you are maybe a 9, maybe you'll do 5 inches. If you are an 11, maybe you'll do 7 inches. Just try that, and then you can go from there. If you need to add more or take some out, you can make those adjustments when you get there. All right, but you just kind of want to stop about 1 inch or 1/2 inch below where your foot starts to curve up into your leg. Hopefully that makes sense. And that is what we're going to do. So like I said, you just want to keep working make sure you flip your stitch marker down so you can see where the beginning of your round is. And then you just want to just work one single crochet in each stitch around until you get the length that you need for your size. All right, and I would definitely recommend trying it on so you can see if it is a good fit for you. You could measure it and go off of the measurements that I had given, but to get the best fitted sock is going to be when you actually try it on and make sure it goes to the point that I was explaining just a minute ago. All right, so I'm just going to continue to single crochet all the way around. I'm not increasing anymore, and I'll just continue working in the round until I get the length that I need. All right, so I will be right back, and then I can show you what to do next. All right, everyone, and I made it back. So I have completed the length needed for my foot. And so I stopped at about, it's a little shy of 6.5 inches. So I am going to insert a picture here of what that looks like on my foot so you can get an idea of what I'm talking about, where you should stop at. So this tape here is just to hold this together, but that is from there to there 1 inch. So I was just kind of showing you that it's approximately an inch away from that curve. It's not exactly an inch, but it's approximate. So it doesn't have to be exact. This is just kind of a try on as you go. And then once you find what you need and what's good for your size, you can take note of the measurements that it was. So for example, I would just say 6.5 inches just to round and make it easy for my foot. So I could just mark, maybe on some notes, say like work body of sock or foot of sock until you reach 6.5 inches from the starting edge, which is down here. All right. And then that way, when I make another pair, because I'm definitely going to be making more of these, then I'll have the notes and it'll be easier for me to remember where I need to stop at when I get to this point. Also, my foot is actually a 10, US 10 women's. So from there, if I know somebody who wears a size 9, then I might stop at 5.5. Or if I know somebody who wears a size 11, then I might stop at 7.5. So that can kind of help you if you're wanting to make gifts for other people as well, because this is more of like a tube sock. So it's not going to be as particular as some of the other sock patterns that are out there, but it's definitely going to give you a nice fit, and it will be easy to make for other people because it's just going to be in like the ballpark area of their foot size, if that makes sense. So if you know their shoe size and you've made some for yourself, you should be able to size up or down as needed, is what I was trying to say. All right, so the next part we're going to be doing is making, we're going to be working on the heel, and at the same time we're doing the heel, we're going to be doing this other stitch pattern here at the top where the curve is, and then that will make this curve up that section of your foot area, and the top of your foot, that'll fit that section, as well as doing the heel at the same time, because we're going to be working in the round still, but we're just going to be doing two different things at the same time. So you'll have one set of directions for the top part of the foot, and then another set of directions for the heel, but we'll be doing it in continuous rounds, so it'll be done at the same time. So you won't have to work just the bottom and then come back and do the top. So it's just going to be all in one round, and we'll just be following two sets of directions. So it's going to be really, really easy. And I know you guys are going to like this sock pattern because they're super easy, super quick, and they fit really, really nice. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with that. So once you have reached the length you need for your foot, what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and grab our 6mm hook. And this is because this stitch here is actually a slip stitch, and slip stitches can be super, super tight. So when you're doing this, you're definitely going to want to make sure you're focusing on making a looser stitch so that it's not too tight. If you do try it on and you feel like it's too tight, you could definitely go up another hook size if necessary, but I wouldn't want to go up too much because then that is going to leave some gaps in the heel area. But I think this, you know, with the size yarn that we're using, it's not too bad. It's still nice coverage, but it's still giving us the fit that we need. All right, so what we're going to do now is where you have left off at your, I have my stitch marker here in place still. And what we're going to do now is we're going to take half of our stitch count, and that's going to be the top part of our foot, and half of our stitch count, and that's going to be the bottom part. So the bottom part obviously is going to be for the heel, and the top part is going to be for the curve. So the first thing we're going to need to do, make sure you're using your 6mm hook now. And we're actually, yeah, we're just going to be using our 6mm hook. And I'm going to continue to use my stitch marker. It's not as long as it's a sock. So I just kind of tug it up like that as needed. All right. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to work a slip stitch in the back loop only of the top part of the sock. And then when we get done with that, I'll tell you what to do for the heel portion. All right. So all you have to do is for a slip stitch is we're going to insert our hook. Sorry about that. We're going to insert our hook into the back loop only of the first stitch, and you want to pull through and then pull through, and you want to do it really nice and loose, just like that, because the slip stitch is already a tight stitch on its own. So you definitely want to try to work that nice and loose, and I just don't have too much tension on it. I just kind of pull it through just like that, and just kind of let the hook do the work, and not without me pulling too much. Wasn't keeping track. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13. I gotta do one more. Okay, now at this point, you could go ahead and move your stitch markers up, and that way when you come back around, you know exactly. So you could put one here if you wanted to know that, okay, this is the first stitch, but then again, you do have that stitch marker there. So I'm just going to mark, the last stitch, which is here, because as you go along, it could be hard to tell where you exactly ended. You can definitely keep count. And if you're keeping count, you won't necessarily need the stitch markers. And then you can move them up as needed, or if you're just keeping count, you can do that. However is easiest for you. So now I'm going to go ahead and continue on in the same round. But since we're on the back stitches, which are the heel stitches, we are going to continue working single crochets. All right, so you're just going to go through both loops as normal, and you're just going to work a single crochet on the back. And that's going to be the rest of the stitches. So if you did 14 on the front, you'll do 14 on the back. However many stitches you have for your size, you're going to do half of that in the back. Single crochets for the heel. That's a piece of linen, I think. All right. Okay, so now I just have a couple stitches left, and I'm back to my stitch marker again. All right, so now I'm going to flip my stitch marker, and now I'm going to do my slip stitches again. Okay, so I'm just going to go really loose, and for these top stitches, we're going to do slip stitches. So it's just like this, and then it's going to give the sock the shape that you see. It's going to give it that nice shaping without having to do any particular decreases or short rows or anything like that. This is super easy, super simple. If you know how to do if you know how to do single crochet, slip stitches, you can definitely do this sock. Super easy. All right, so now I'm at the end of my slip stitches. So now I need to go ahead and work the single crochet in both loops. Let me just double check. Is that one more slip stitch there? Let me double check my count, because that looks like one more slip stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, actually that is a slip stitch. All right. There's one more. And now we move on to the single crochet. Okay, so this is super easy, right guys? I bet you didn't think it was going to be this easy, but it is very, very easy. So please let me know if you make this sock, if you think that this is one of the easiest patterns you have done for socks, or if you enjoyed this pattern, if it's your first sock pattern, let me know in the comments below. I'd really like to hear about that. All right, so what we're going to do now is we are just going to continue on. So I am back around, so I'm ready to do slip stitches again. And we are just going to, and if you notice, slip stitches are definitely the shortest stitch. So the shortest stitch would be a slip stitch, and then it goes to single crochet, half double, and double. So there's definitely going to be a size difference, and you can see it's already showing the back of the sock, the single crochets, right? So it is going to have a little bit shorter length here and longer length in the back. That is exactly what you want. That's perfect. That's the idea that we're going for here in this particular sock design. So that's no worries about that. We will even it out and take care of that when we move on to the next step. For right now, we're just going to continue on in that manner. So slip stitches in the front half and single crochets on the bottom half for your heel. We will continue that until you get until the sock comes up around and covers your heel. Hopefully I'll be able to take a picture of that when I get to it on mine, and then I can post the picture for you guys. But let me see if I can get a measurement of how many rows I did. For the heel stitches, it should be about 4 inches from when you ended off with the 5mm hook until you get done. It should be around 4 inches if you want to take the measurement there, or about 3 inches if you want to take the measurement up here. It's a little less than 3 inches, but pretty much what you want to do is you want to try it on your foot, because everybody's foot size is different ultimately. So the best way to do it is to try it on and make sure this is covering your heel and coming up a little bit over your heel. Okay, and once that is done, then you want to stop working this technique, because then we're going to come back and do something else, and I will show you what to do as soon as I have mine done. All right, so just continue on working the slip stitches on the front half and the single crochets on the bottom half until the sock covers your heel when you try it on, and then we'll come back and show you what to do next. All right, everyone, I'll be right back. All right, everyone, so I made it back, and I have my heel portion done, and it measures at about 4 inches from where I started to the edge here, and this is approximately 3 inches, so depending on which measurement you want to take. But I do have a picture that I will insert so you guys can see how it fits, and that way you can try yours on and make sure yours is fitting in the same way so that you'll be ready to move on to the next step. Okay, so I did about 17 rows of this particular for that set of instructions. I did 17 rows with my 6mm hook. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is just work a little bit of the leg portion before we move on to the ribbing. And for the leg portion, we want to go back to the 5mm hook, and all you're going to do is you're just going to work 3 rounds of single crochet all the way around. Now, if you try this on and you feel like you want a little bit more of a leg portion before you go into the ribbing, that is totally up to you. You can feel free to go ahead and do that. These are your socks. You can customize them how you like, but for this instruction, all we need to do is single crochet all the way around. And for the first round only, you're going to catch the back loop of the slip stitches, just single crochet in the back loop only of the slip stitches on those first set of stitches. So I'm going to do the back loop only, single crochet in the back loop only of those slip stitches. All right, and then when you get all the way around to the bottom set of stitches, you're going to go ahead and work in both loops. And then when you come back around to work back into these stitches for the second round, you'll go ahead and work into both stitches. So I'm just going to continue on, catching that back loop. So I really like how that slip stitching kind of did all the shaping for us that we really need in the sock. And it just fits really, really nice without much effort. And I really enjoy that about this particular pattern. All right, so we're just gonna go ahead. That just means you can make up a lot of these really quickly and have like a whole drawer full of socks in no time, right? All right, especially for this cooler weather, my feet are gonna be so happy in these socks. Okay, so now that we made it back around, all we're gonna do is just single crochet in each stitch around for the next 2 rounds. Okay, so I'm just gonna continue on with mine, single crochet for the next 2 rounds, and that will give us a total of 3 rounds of just single crochets. And then I'll come back and show you what to do next for the ribbing. All right, everyone, I'll be right back when I have mine done. All right, everyone, I made it back. So I have my 3 rounds of single crochet after we've done the heel portion. And now I'm going to switch hooks again, and I'm going to go to a 4mm. You could go down more if you want a tighter fit. You just have to make sure it will fit over your entire foot. I'm just going to do a 4mm, but I may consider using a smaller hook next time. I would just have to like try it on and figure it out. But I know the 4mm does fit. It is a little bit looser than I would like to be, but I am able to get it on my foot with ease. So that is an important thing to be able to do. All right, so for this, we're going to start the ribbing. So grab your 4mm hook, and all we're going to do is chain 1 from where we are, because we're just working in continuous rounds. And what we're going to do now is just we're going to double crochet into each stitch around. When you come back around to this particular stitch here, before you change over, that's where I want you to end at. So don't do anything to this stitch. Well, actually, I can just go around with you really quickly and show you what to do. But this is pretty much our setup row for our ribbing. I'm going to do some front post, back post ribbing. If you're familiar with other crochet ribbings and you would prefer to do those instead, you are more than welcome to do so. These are your socks. You can finish them off however you like. The pattern for this is pretty much done. We're wrapping up with some ribbing. If you want to continue on with the front post, back post ribbing, then you can go ahead and stay tuned. But if you decided to go a different route and try a different ribbing, go ahead and do so. You could also leave that in the comments down below what ribbing you decided to use. We would really like to hear about that. Could be an inspiration to somebody else. I have an idea for some other ribbons I might try as I make more of these socks as well. I definitely like to explore and change things up as I go, but without being too much for this particular tutorial, I just decided to go ahead with some front post, back post ribbing. So right now all we're doing is putting double crochets in each stitch around, and then we can begin the front post, back post ribbing once we make it all the way around. I don't plan on slip stitching to the beginning, so that's why I wanted you guys to hold off and let me show you what we're going to do here when I get back around. All right, so that does look a little bit weird, but that's okay. So just kind of stretch it up and you can see it's kind of like the next stitch there. So that's what we want to do. We want to go ahead and work a front post double crochet around that stitch, and that's where we're going to begin our ribbing. So now we're going to do a back post. So we yarn over and work our back post double crochet, and now we're doing a front post, and you just keep alternating with the front post and the back post all the way around. And then that is the setup round for your ribbing, and then you'll just front post around each front post stitch from the round before, and then you'll back post around each stitch from the round before, the other back post stitches, if that makes sense. So if you're familiar with this front post, back post ribbing, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. And that's what we're doing. I'm just going to make it all the way around really quickly. And then you don't need to slip stitch to the beginning. We're just going to work these continuous. And I think I'm only going to do about I think about a total of 4 rounds. So I just have a couple more to go after I complete this round. So let me make it all the way back, which I just have a few more stitches to go. So now this is a back post and front post. Oops, my yarn just split. Okay, I just have a few more stitches to go to make it all the way around. All right, so now I made it to the first, that's the first front post. So now I'm just going to go ahead and work a front post around that stitch. And then let me flip my yarn so I know where I'm ending at. Now I'm going to do a back post around that stitch. And then I'm going to continue on for the next 2 rounds of that. And then we'll be ready to finish off. And of course, you'll need to weave in your ends. And then your sock will be completed. So I'm going to go ahead and follow those directions. I'm going to work 2 more rounds of ribbing. And then I will come back and show you what the finished socks look like. All right, everyone, I'll be right back. All right, everyone, and I made it back. So I have finished my ribbing here. So now all I'm going to do is just go ahead and cut my yarn and finish off by pulling that through. And then you're just going to take your needle here, and then this does have a little bit of a jog where this is higher than the start, so I'm just going to go ahead and tuck that down into that next stitch there at the top. And then I'll just come back to where I started from there and tuck it down. So it is still a little bit of a jog, but it's a little less noticeable. So then I'm just going to continue weaving my ends in for this tail, as well as the beginning one, which is tucked inside. I'm going to remove all of my stitch markers, and then the sock is complete. So hopefully you enjoyed this tutorial. I'll go ahead and put a little picture or a video of me wearing them so you can see what they look like on. And hopefully you will make lots of these for yourself, and maybe even some gifts for family and friends. All right, everyone, thank you so much for hanging out with me and making the socks along with me for this awesome tutorial for these quick and easy socks. I really hope you enjoy the pattern. Let me know all of that in the comments down below. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, I would really appreciate having you along as this part of this distinctive family over here. Please go ahead and hit the like button, and I will see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching.